So, without further ado, I will ask my 4 co-sessionists onto the stage. Nazma, please, Kristjan, Toomas, and Vinay, come on the stage. And everybody, please sit here in the first row because we want to talk to you as well. So please come here in front. Somebody's doing an applause. Excellent. The very first interaction we already have. Would you maybe sit here? I will take this yellow tumba here. Very good. You can sit also here. Yes, yes, or wherever you want. So, yes, please, fill the first row. Then we can see you as well and then talk to you. So, I have my notes here as well. So,
hello. Can you pass me? I deliberately sat here.
Before we start, I would like to, you heard my introduction. I would like you to get our people on the stage to know themselves better. So I will ask you guys to introduce yourself really briefly. Nazma, you have done some amazing growth. Can you please tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us all today. My name is Nazma Kurban. I am Chief Revenue Officer for Cognizum. Cognizum is a sales acceleration technology company. We are headquartered in London. I was the first salesperson and the first employee for Cognizum. We launched 2.5 years ago. Since then, we have experienced exponential growth. We grew last year by 700% in revenue. We went from 2 customers to over 300 in a very short space of time. My role at Cognizum is to look after the revenue functions, which are marketing, sales, and customer success. So that's a bit about myself.
So, very good. Vinay, you have, I looked at your LinkedIn profile and you have like really famous names in your history. I see there Microsoft, Adobe, Google, Uber, Yahoo, so, and now Pipedrive. So give us a little bit background on yourself as well.
Sure. Good morning and welcome to everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here and an honor to sit with the rest of us. So a little bit on me. I've been in product for about 20 years. I'm not going to bore you with the whole thing. The most, I would say, interesting stuff that I've been working on previous to my current role, which is Chief Product Officer at Pipedrive, I was at Google before this and working on search and making search a little bit more intelligent so that when you type in, let's say, small pets or puppies, it doesn't show you just pictures of small pets, but starts to understand, maybe you're looking for pet adoption, and starts to understand that. So a lot of AI involved at Google. Before Google, I was at Uber from 2014 to 2017, which I think was a period when Uber was expanding globally. And my job there was to make sure that Uber worked really well in every single international market, especially China, India, Southeast Asia. So, quite a bit of experience with growth as well as with international markets. Before Uber, I did my own startup for 3 years. I really, it was a great experience, but I also suffered a lot through that experience. And then before that, I was just, with some of these companies. So hopefully today, we can talk about product and I can share some of the insights and learnings and scars, and hopefully you'll get something out of it.
Thanks. Toomas, you have software engineering background, but you're a co-founder of ZeroTurnaround, a company which exited recently. So you have also seen a bunch of products and growth in your past.
That's true. Hi, everyone. My name is Tom. As Priit mentioned, I started off as a software engineer, but about 10 years ago, we co-founded a company that we grew from 2 people to about 200, and we got acquired at the end of 2017. I actually stayed with the company. I've been working as a CTO for the past 5 years. And what's interesting is about 3 months ago, the company that acquired us got acquired. So right now, the title of the company is probably ZeroTurnaround, Rogue Wave Software Company, Perforce Software Company. And I've started products and I've succeeded and failed at products. So done the whole 9 yards there. And today, still as a CTO, I also do some angel investing on the side.
And we have also Kristjan here. You have actually background in math, teaching math, science, data science, but lately you say you have been dealing more with business development and product as well.
Yes, I am. Hi, nice to be here. Yes, indeed, I have got a background in mathematics and machine learning and computer science. And I was building robots in Starship Technologies. We are doing self-driving delivery robots and delivering food with the robots. It's going really well recently. We are now doing thousands of deliveries every day in America in university campuses. And I was building the AI for the robot for 3 years, the actual software in the robot. And then the robot kind of got ready. And then the question came, what do you do with these robots? And then we started thinking about the product and customers and revenue and all the weird things which are very new for us. So yeah, now I'm head of data. I'm responsible in understanding every aspect of Starship business and every kind of department. And I think I can contribute into this discussion of the conflict between business and product that we are aiming here to understand.
Okay, but before we continue, I wanted to ask audience a little bit about your expectations. So can we get a couple of opinions? What do you expect of this discussion, or what would you like to hear? Are there any hands I see? Yeah. Please.
We should also get all these people to come over and
sit
down.
Yes, and please, everybody, you sitting in there in the corner, your legs will hurt, not right now, but later. Please, look, we have like 3 seats here, 4 seats there, we have 4 seats there. And while you're sitting, think about, give me an opinion, what would you expect or what do you want discussed on the stage? Yes? I can repeat it so everybody hears. Good.
I would like to understand when does the perfectionism of the good product, when is it good enough to start launching to the market? Because my issue is that we think that it's good, we start selling it, we miss this and this and this feature, and then okay, let's focus again on the product, and then again. So I took a decision after 2 years that we finally start selling. We need to understand what's the balance. I believe that there are many people.
I will repeat. So basically the question was that about perfectionism and when do you start selling is like when have you polished your rocket enough to actually launch it, or where is this balance point? Okay. Do we have anything else would you like to hear or discuss? Yeah. I see a hand there. No, you were inviting somebody. Yes. Do we have any other expectations? I saw this hand there first. Yes. And then the third one I see there. Yes?
Well, the topic is product versus business.
Yeah.
We're more of a service company for now with tech.
Yeah.
And we want to kind of go towards becoming a tech company with service. So what would be, ideas on that?
So service going to tech.
Maybe not. Maybe staying as a service company.
Okay. So your point would be that you, in case.
Whether we should focus as soon as possible on the product and start launching it, because we have a product developed in-house, but they're not, as standalone SaaS products yet. So whether we should focus on core business for now, or devote more and more attention and focus on the product side.
Okay. And then I saw a third hand there. Yes?
Something I'm looking for now in my product is that wow moment where the user is like, oh, I get this is really neat, I want this, I'm trying to figure myself. So what you guys have done for that?
So how do you find the wow moments? So what we will try to do is that we will try to put these things into our discussions, and I have a fourth one as well. You can give this gentleman a microphone, because yes, in the middle it's hard to reach the mic, but yes, introduce yourself as well. Who are you?
Hi, my name is Victor. I'm from Poland, and I'm not sure it's a relevant question, but I'm wondering what kind of set of founders is the best in your opinion? For example, if you have 2 founders, and how would you go about looking for a co-founder? Either if you have a product idea or if you do not have one.
So basically founder team setup as well. Okay, thanks for these things. We're going to try to answer these throughout the discussion as well. So the main point is that this has to be interactive. So even if you have something you don't agree with, raise your hand. We'll give you a microphone and see what you have to say. Anyway, before we get to the thing, let's get the playground even as well so we understand each other quite well. What is product, or who is product and who is business? Maybe we should start with that. Let's define the things. So guys, who wants to start on product? What is product in the company and what is business in the company? Who wants to start?
I can start because we had a huge conflict in our company. So we were building these self-driving robots and they started driving and everything was glad and happy and we had like hundreds of robots driving. And we thought that, yoo-hoo, we have a product. But then it turns out that the product people didn't think of our robot as a product. For them, the product was the application. What food can you order? Like, what is the ETA there? Like, is the food cold? How it's packaged? And so on. And the robots, like, these were not part of the product for them. And then we were kind of insulted by this. But I guess it is a complex question. What is a product?
Okay, but you're saying that the product means engineers and people who look what do you offer, basically. Is this the definition?
Yes, I guess products should be focused for a consumer or for an end client. What are we trying to accomplish for them? They want to get their food ready, fast, beautiful, warm, delicious. And this robot there is actually not the most important thing. It's about the feeling of getting it, and that's the product. And this product is making customers happy.
Nazma, what do you think? What
Okay.
is product in the company?
So, product for anybody who's like an engineer in this room or someone who's building something, although it's something that may be tangible, may not be, it's a solution that you're trying to basically create a value out of. So every time that anybody starts a startup, what you're trying to do is solve a problem. And so anybody that falls into working on solving that solution falls into product. And business, I would say, is somebody who's actually going out and aligning the solution with the business's objectives, which most of the time is revenue.
This is a very good definition, I would say, that everybody who is actually contributing to actually solving the solution, then they are product, and everybody aligning the solution to like revenue and business, then this is the business part.
Yeah.
Would you agree, or?
Almost. I think so. That's definitely true that that the builders, the product managers, the engineers, the designers, the analysts, like their goal is to figure out what's the best product for this customer, right? So in a way, there is some alignment with that customer, otherwise you're not going to get the product right. And so really, at least in Pipedrive and in my head, where business comes in is trying to figure out, in this big competitive landscape, what is our message, right? How do we stand out? And then also signing up for those revenue goals, right? Someone in the business needs to say, you know what, this year we're going to bring in $100 million in revenue. Here's my plan. We're going to go to China, we're going to go to India, we're going to go into the United States, we're going to target these customers, blah, 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 right? So that they are taking that solution and then taking it to market and making that happen, right? I think that is definitely the business side of things, and both product and business have to work almost together in order to make those things real, right? And we'll get into a lot more of the, some of the challenges that happen when we try to make that real. So that's my definition.
Just a quick question, Priit. While we're here and we're having a very interactive session, I think it would be really good for us to understand exactly what the audience is. So do we have like founders in the room, or do we have product or business, so that we can keep it as relevant as we can?
How many founders in the room? So I can also raise my hand, I think. Tom, you can also raise your hand. Excellent. How many, let's say, people who actually make the solution happen? How many engineers, designers? Yeah, could be. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How many people in sales and marketing? Okay, so look, I think we have actually very even spread here. How many
But the sales and marketing are on this side.
Or more on this side. Yes.
On the right side.
So I think we have quite an even spread. Are you happy with the definition so far of the product? Which is product in the company, which is business? Can I see nodding heads or like no? If somebody doesn't agree, can you give your definition, please?
Just a small remark, because as a founder, sometimes you have to do both.
As a founder, you have to do both.
In some cases, like not always.
This is true, especially if you're like one-man person, one-man company or...
No, for the big team of 15 people.
Okay.
In terms of the hats, like
Yeah.
making the product and making the market.
Okay.
Marketing, yes.
Good point. Exactly. So especially early stages, like 15 people, you sometimes have to wear like several hats or like have this schizophrenia happening, or maybe not. Okay, so the question was that, do we think that they need to be separate? What do you think?
I think the definition gets like really blurred when the company grows, and I think one great thing that we did about maybe 4 or 5 years ago when we had this distinct roles of product manager, sales, and sales managers, account executives, etc. We formed these teams that we used to call the Gtm teams, go-to-market teams, that consisted of a product manager, somebody from sales who was responsible for the number for that product, and somebody from marketing who was either driving leads or doing something. And I think since then I've seen these like 3 combinations. Of course, you can add engineering to it as this group that runs the product. Because if you take like this product manager who makes this tangible thing, once you get to packaging, pricing, and all of the other aspects, well, you have to do it together with someone. You can't like throw it over the wall. And the blurring comes, I guess, from a certain size of the company. If it's the 15-person shop, many of those things are done with just handful of people, because you're driving for a sustainable business, meaning that you cannot like overinvest in any of those single parts. Mm-hmm. So it's blurry.
Like several people.
You go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
I like this question about like a mix of co-founders as well. There, like we are in tech community and tech conference. The aim is to do technology. Like computers must do something, and what should be they doing? They should be doing something to make end customers happy, people happy. And then there is this many layers of translation of this happy customer to the machine. Like in the beginning, there is sales and customer support. It might be business and product and engineering leads and programmers and then like writing actually the machine level code and so on. And all these things must communicate with each other. And how I see what is the perfect fit for co-founders is that everything must be covered. You need to cover all these different layers so that from happy customer you will have a machine that...
Yeah, you want the founders to complement each other too. Yeah.
So covering everything, every aspect, every layer there. And as a good company, the communication between these must be good, which is like the complex thing to do.
Yeah. Do you want to do something to add?
Yeah, do you have some like intuition like of what would be the origin of the technical co-founder, or what it should be? So should it be a person working in some engineering work at some specific industry and then figures out, oh, that's the solution that's missing, or is there some common idea where the technical co-founder should come from or might come from?
Do you want to answer this?
I mean, imagine if I were to start a company today, right? I think the only 2 things that matter, in my opinion, right? One is there needs to be somebody who's absolutely visionary and can, look at a VC and like give them the chills and they want to write you a check immediately, right? Because, well, maybe.
Maybe.
If you want to do something big, I'm talking about in my example of building a company today. There are many ways to build a company, right? But the 2 ingredients, I think, irrespective of where the money comes from, either money is going to come from you, or it's going to come from customers, or it's going to come from VCs, right? So where's the money going to come from? So you need someone who can essentially envision a future for this company with a strong vision that can be articulated in a way that is through pictures, images, whatever it is, for communication purpose, right? There should be someone who has that. Ideally, that person is also good at talking to customers and selling them on the stuff in the first place, right? There's no point in having a vision, but you can't actually convert it into customer value, right? So I think that person should basically be like the businessy kind of side of the fence. Then there's somebody else, I think, who should basically know how to build almost anything. Right? They're a true, CTO type person. They can be like, okay, you know what? We can use these pieces of technology together to build this thing. And they're obsessed about how to build that quickly, right? That's the beginning, just the beginning, right? So you got somebody who can build something, and you got somebody
and
who
it
can sell
doesn't
it.
even matter which industry they come from. The
Oh,
main
yeah,
point is
yeah,
that they should be able to build anything, really.
Because it's not going to matter what industry they come from. When you have to go through the roller coaster, right, of the startup, what you need is somebody who's not going to go, you know, it's kind of difficult, I want to go home now, right? you need someone who's going to be like, you know, I'm ready for the next thing. Or you know, so many other factors, in my opinion, that make a good founder.
Of course, you need to have the idea. So I think the question you're addressing is that the domain knowledge of a certain domain you're solving a problem in needs to be in the team. But I don't think it has to come from the engineering side or the business side. It needs to come from somebody. They have to have some kind of experience in the domain. If I'm a farmer and I suddenly want to start solving problems in pharmaceutical industry, then it might not be a good match, maybe.
I don't know. I think, what did Mark Zuckerberg know about social networks before he started Facebook? Nothing, right? So it depends on what you want to do, right? If you want to basically go and create a nice little space inside a niche industry, you know, you want to create something that makes, you know, extracting something out of kidneys much better, great. You have to know about kidneys and you have to know your space, but it's not going to be a multi-billion-dollar company, right? If you want to change the world, I think you have to be okay with anything.
I will pull the discussion back a little bit to the product versus business side.
Yes.
I had a question here in my head that, but can we actually differentiate product? Can we say product versus business? Because I think today mostly product is your business. What do you think?
Can we differentiate product from the business?
Yeah, because in digital world, isn't product your business?
The solution is your business, right? So for me, when we first started, our product is very different and it's pivoted many times. And it's all about having a team that has the vision instilled in them, and that is usually the CEO and the founder that is doing that. So what is the vision for the business? And product and sales or business should be aligned. The solution that you're selling is the business, and the solution, it's all one, right? It's all encompassing. So when we first started, you asked about, you know, our product and sales, should they be, should they be talking to each other? And they absolutely should be, because when we first launched and we had 2 customers and I went out and continued talking to more prospects and I couldn't get anyone to sign, but when I said that we can do this and then fed that back to the product team, and the product team built something based on the fact that we are going to generate business, then we're all aligned. So it's all about creating a feedback loop and having open communication, having a vision and a common goal, and then you're all aligned. So it's pretty much the same. It's just a full circle loop.
I guess the conflict is before you get the alignment. So like
before you get the alignment.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you give us some examples, guys, as well?
Yeah, but
where they have a bump the head.
If you think of this, like engineering wants to build a really great technical product. Product manager wants to build a great product. Business wants revenue. CEO wants to be afloat with the company, meaning that it should be either profitable or you should have enough runaway. Like everyone is optimizing their thing, and this is where they need to find alignment. Like for the next 12 months, are we going after paying customers or some other segment or something? And whatever choice you make, it will piss someone off in the company who wants to do some other stuff, either fix that database upgrade, whatnot, to let's have a unified design over all of our products. Well, our strategy for this year is actually making money so that we can sustain the next year. So to find that alignment, it's like sometimes iterations of weeks of people not necessarily screaming, but just being like in a local conflict.
Vinay, you have like, I think, most experience. Have you seen this kind of like crash and burns or this kind of bad cases of misalignment happening?
Yeah, but I think the usual misalignments are things that like someone's decided this is the revenue plan, right? But the product plan doesn't deliver to that. So why did that happen, right? That's a usual conflict. Another one is, there are customers absolutely are having problems with the product, right? But all the engineers are working on something that will ship 2 years from now, right? So how do you balance taking care of like making sure our customers today are getting what they need while we also build the future of the company, right? These are usually, I think, the two, but a good, I think, leadership team that essentially talks and understands how to both make today's business and the near-term business successful while actually looking at the long-term and balancing, the P&L and whatever needs we have from the board and investors. That is the job of the executive team,
But does anybody want to share some kind of conflict or misalignment story or experience which was painful, where business and product and maybe some other parts of organization were not aligned? What has happened? Have you had any experiences? Anybody from the audience? Nobody has had no bad experiences, really? Like everybody, okay, you have a bad experience. Can you get the microphone to him? Like really in the middle somehow? Before you start answering, also introduce yourself. So what's your background and where you come from?
Hello,
Can you stand up as well so we can see you?
is it working?
Yes, it is.
My name is Mert. I'm from Hugo.legal, and we bring together lawyers and their customers on the platform. So my background is computer engineering, and I am the CTO of Hugo Legal. And yes, I think the topic is quite relevant. So we delivered our first product. We sat around the table, and then when business people were around the table, everything seemed to be fine. After the product is ready, then that's not the product what we ordered. so basically, and I actually have had a lot of thoughts about it, how to avoid this kind of situations. I had it before. I have been in the industry for 18 years, and that's a normal behavior, actually. And although how much or how hard you try to agree on it, then it is really bad or sad to hear this again and again. So that's my experience. So how to avoid this kind of situations, I have no clue after my experience.
But isn't the answer just shorter interactions and talking to the customer? Like on a weekly or a daily basis?
You are right, but they are running quite fast, so daily basis is also too slow.
Okay, so at
You
one day you...
The problem is changing and doing your... Well, I understand what you mean. You mean sprint planning and everything like that, or so you keep your focus, but still it changes too much in the startup. So.
Okay.
Can you guys give, like, I think, Kristjan, you said in the beginning that you had like a big fight, like what's product and what's not, and then somehow now it seems that everything aligned. How did you like iron this kind of misalignment out? How did you get everybody moving in the same direction or aligned well?
Yeah, I was thinking about it now constantly. What are these key ingredients there? I guess one biggest conflict in the beginning was, should we be B2B or B2C? Like we have these robots.
Decide that first.
Yeah, so that was like a huge fight. We had a client, Domino's Pizza. They are delivering 1 million pizzas every day to homes. Seems like a perfect fit. Let's do it with the robots. Didn't work out. Robots are not like humans. They cannot put the pizza in and blah, blah, blah. So we thought that, okay, it's not going to work out. We're going to do B2C. But B2C means that you have to have designers and applications and customer support and like so many things that we weren't thinking about it, like a completely new organization. Basically, about 100 new hires in order to make this transition. And then it was kind of getting better, but then we realized that it's still not enough. Then because we weren't able to kind of make money out of it, or it wasn't profitable, or no one wanted the service, or it wasn't good enough. And then, again, the alignment of testing out different products and iterating, which is part of what startups are doing. We were doing about 10 different business models in golf courses and factories and whatnot, until we found something where there is a huge demand. We see that there is like we can be break even soon and everything. And I guess then everyone agrees that this is the path forward, and then the alignment is there, and then it's easy. You have some methodology like objectives and key results, you have some KPIs and things, and you kind of focus there and you do this. but how do you do this alignment first? I really like this point. That was hard. There wasn't no methodology there, like exactly like how do you make this communication when people are completely different understandings what we should be doing. But then there is this founding people. Founders say that we will go there. Then there is a CEO who is kind of very confident that finding a product market fit is easy. Let's just try these 10 things and then we will choose the best one. Some visionary stuff, and like it was possible, but it was definitely like a hard work.
So I've seen, I think, two methodologies working. There is one thing that you gather people together, you make like a workshop, they really iron these things out and talk through. There is another methodology very well known in Estonia, actually. I don't know if it originates from here, but it's called sauna and the big bottle of vodka. And you get, it serves the same purpose. You get all these decision makers in one room and let them iron things out, and preferably outside of civilization, somewhere in the forest where they cannot escape.
Yeah, I think the term is sauna and discussion.
Sauna discussion. So me and my co-founder used to have this kind of sauna evenings where we, okay, no vodka, but beer. But still we were discussing things until the late hours of nights. So how should we do stuff? Yeah. Any other good advice on, okay, this was a little bit like a joke, but any other good advice? How do you achieve alignment?
I mean,
I can add a little bit of color at the, when you have different people from different backgrounds, like some are salespeople, business development, engineers, product managers, and everybody has been on a different journey that got them there through different companies. Everyone has a sort of like different understanding of what they want from the future of the company, right? So, let's say we've got this bottle of vodka and all that. That's important, I think, maybe get some other stimulants also. But it's important in my experience to share the same framework for what does this planning thing mean, okay? And so the one I like a lot and I use a lot is this concept of a mountain, right? All of us together, product engineering, design, and business, everybody is going to climb Mount Everest. Everybody should be super clear about what mountain they're going to climb. Okay, so in your case, like B2C, B2B, you guys haven't picked the mountain yet, right? So go pick what mountain you really want to climb. Don't change that for a while, right? Be very clear this is going to be something we will stick with for 1 or 2 years, right? It's very important, otherwise your company will feel like, people in your company will get seasickness, right, from like constant changing.
Too many pivots.
Yeah, so be very clear about that, right? Then the next thing to get aligned on is to decide what your base camp 1 is going to be. Like, where are we going to go, right? The path up the mountain is never straight, right? You've got to try to get to base camp 1. And getting to base camp 1, you'll basically say, you know what? We're going to go after a smaller pizza company, not Domino's, with got a lot of customers. Or we'll not pick Domino's. Let's go with grocery delivery. We're going to make that grocery delivery person really successful with 5 robots. Like, you define your base camp 1 quite carefully so that engineering is clear what the goal is, product is clear what the goal is, designers know it's only meant for one pizza chain, etc., right? Like, you can get all these people to understand what that one thing is. That's enough. We don't have to figure out base camp 2 and how many other steps there are and all that crap, right? What's the mountain, what's the top, and what's base camp 1 has honestly worked really well for me.
I really like this kind of like a parallel. It's a really good parallel.
Yep.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I think that it's so important just to decide on what that mountain looks like and then make sure that you're all aligned and not think 10 years ahead. Just think about what you need to do, whether that is 5 customers. We need to get 5 customers, so if I'm speaking to 10, what do all 10 of them require? That would mean that they'll become a customer, and then work to get to that point, and then you figure out, okay, what do I need to do to get to the next 100? And then ensure that the product team is aligned, everyone is aligned, and then work towards that next goal. And there's going to be times when product is going to be upset. There's times when our CTO was devastated because the new developments, and we wanted to bring on a new customer. That customer would have been worth, double our current revenue, but that also meant that we're 2 months behind on our current, on his current development plan. But you just need to ensure that you're aligned, and that's what the executive team is there to do. Figure out what that mountain is and just do what you can to get there.
Cool. I would switch to the next topic. It touches on this. You want to add something? Can you give him a microphone? I saw a hand there.
Sure. And I am CEO and founder of a startup company based in Helsinki, and we are into artificial intelligence to make media and publishing easier.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, so you know exactly what to build. You have the idea, you have the team, you have all the resources, you've got the funding, and then you started talking to your, customers, your prospects, and the conflict happens to be a case where they want the product, but they want it in different ways. So what we did was we spoke to all the biggest media companies in Germany, the likes of Axel Springer, DPA, name them all. And they all wanted the product, but they wanted it in different applications. So this led to a conflict where we're like, all right, what do we focus on? My question is, could there be an opportunity in, taking advantage of this kind of conflicts? I don't know if you understand my question.
Yeah, I think what you're basically saying is like you talk to a bunch of customers, they want to use your product, but they want to use it in different ways, right? That's exactly what killed my startup, okay? Like, I was like, wow, I really need a lot of customers. All of these guys wanted something slightly different, but I was convincing myself, no, it's all actually the same core thing, but a little bit of customizability and all that, right? I would encourage you to go find 10 customers who want exactly the same thing, right? Go figure out who wants the same thing and tell everybody else, listen, I'll get to you later, right? And there's a book on this called Crossing the Chasm, which is basically this thing about get 5 people who want exactly what you want. They are your beachhead customers. You go work really hard to make them happy, right? Then you go figure out how you get the next who would not like them, and so on and so forth. So otherwise, you end up trying to solve 2 problems, scaling and product market fit, all at the same time, and I think that gets messy.
And then when you do have that customer, those customers that come on board, you take really good care of them, you ensure that you get case studies out of them, you ensure that you're driving value so that when you go knocking on someone else's door that has a similar problem, you have the solution, you have the use case, and that should create more and more of the same sort of customers, and then you can just work on the other application.
Yeah.
I had a question or a topic here as well. Regarding the definition of product, or who defines the product. Paul Adams, he's a VP of product in Intercom. He gave a speech about navel gazing, and he said that the most intensive contact with customer in a company is in sales teams and in customer support teams. And going that far that maybe the product should be defined by these people who know what the customers want, namely sales and customer support. So shouldn't the product actually be defined by these teams rather than design teams and research team who go and specifically go and talk to customers? What do you think, guys?
I mean, yes, it would be silly not to listen to them, but it's not the whole you cannot deliver everything. Some things are just impossible. Some things are too expensive. Some things don't make sense strategically. Like it is a combination of every aspect of the company where the product should come. But they should be a big part of it because they know the customer.
But a designer in a team doesn't have to say that, look, I'm defining the product, or a product manager. They should speak to sales and then customer support as well.
I have never seen anyone who doesn't speak to sales and customer support. It seems that these companies will go bust.
Maybe.
So it is a silly question.
Maybe at a certain stage, this pre-sales or sales or customer support can drive more of the product, because like most of it is like done. It's we're optimizing a model now. You don't need a crazy product manager there coming up with ideas how to alienate the current customers. Why not talk to the get the most of the input from there? But in the early stage, it would be counterintuitive
Yeah, when we first started, I was in a fortunate situation, but we didn't have a product, so we had sales. So we had me, I was head of sales at the time, and then we had the CTO, and then we had the CEO. So the CEO is driving the vision. He's ensuring that everyone's aligned, driving the business forward. We have the CTO who's building out the product. And I remember coming back from prospect meetings, and I would say, oh, yeah, I need this done, and there was a bug, or this happened, and this just needs to be done. And then I understood why in all of the other businesses I worked for, development team, sales was not allowed to talk to any of the developers at all, at any point, because it could become quite frustrating. But when you have a smaller team, you can create a feedback loop, and you can ensure that you're just feeding in the feedback. And you just need to ensure that the people that you have on the commercial team are aligned and have the same sort of commercial understanding. And it's not whether because sales are sales, so they'll come back and say, look, I need this, and this is really important. But actually only one customer needs that, but that one customer is worth like 1% of your revenue, or is only going to increase it by 8%. But then if you have a customer, and that same customer has a problem, the solution can be very easily built, and it could triple your revenue, then you'd want to put resources into that. So creating that feedback loop is very important. It was only about 8 months ago when we brought on our first, well, we've got a VP of product now, so we brought her in. We don't have anyone in product. And so I'm having experiences where she would have some input, and it's very clear that it needs to come from customer feedback and sales feedback, because we understand the market, we're talking to our end customers, we're understanding the value that we're selling. So products should be consuming that information and then communicating that to the development team rather than just creating, I guess, the product because they just think that it's the right thing and they're solving a problem.
We had this question as well. Do you want to add
Just a very quick comment that it was a really good comment that indeed we need to kind of separate the stages of like it's different in every stage. Like if you're 2 employees, you even don't have a customer support and customers. So how can you listen to them?
Yeah.
It's yeah. Every stage has different kind of mechanisms which are the best for it.
We had the question from the audience quite in the beginning regarding the balance of like defining the product and adding new features and launching. How do you find this balance?
Actually, it's very easy, It's super easy. I could be wrong. Like, if you can get somebody to buy something without building anything, that's great, right? So you should be able to launch immediately for that, at least for that one customer, right? So I think the way to get these is to not think about this big launch moment and all that. The launch moment is really a scale moment, okay? But before the scale moment, you have had to have made somebody happy, right? So start with one, call that your alpha, prototype or whatever, then expand from there to, we do this at Pipedrive today, right? We're not taking a big product today and sort of like making it a little better and going back to our customers. We're coming up with brand new things that we've never done before, for which there are 0 customers today, right? And I absolutely, I'm afraid of a product team that says, I'm going to build, and then one day it's going to be launched and somehow the business will figure out how to get me 1,000 customers, right? That never works. So what usually works is you get 5, you learn from them, you get 10, you learn from them, you expand that to 200, 3,000, and so on, as we discussed. So when did you launch, right? There's no such thing. So the launch event is really, in my opinion, a big marketing event that is around telling people a success story of how it's already worked for everybody else. And the rest of the audience just hasn't understood the value yet. But when they do, it's going to absolutely work for them. So the earlier the better, and try to sell something when you don't even have it to see what customers really want is basically where you should start.
So the only exception I would add, like release early, I'm totally for it. Just don't do that if you're in the medical.
There are some industries.
Yeah, some industries, medical, defense, probably finance when it comes to banking, etc. But otherwise, like as early as possible.
But do you think you should be releasing faster than your competitor, right? That's what matters, I think, right? If all the people in the medical space are scared and cautious, you also should be scared and cautious, but be a little bit more aggressive than them, right?
So basically, yes, you should beat your competition.
Yeah.
And basically start adding features after you sell it.
It'll be nice, yeah.
Continuing to that, if you're, let's say, if the way how you beat your competition is about the qualitative change, not only just functional, but you do the same things that they do, but on a completely different quality.
Let's get you a mic,
there is a microphone for you. Then otherwise I have to repeat.
So the question is like, when you compete with your competitors based on the quality of the kind of the same solutions, but you do them 10 times better, and this 10 times better takes time and investigation and pilots. So this is the thing, like when you really start pushing it hard to the market and actually invest in marketing processes, because marketing is not just like, okay, just keep selling. No, it takes a lot of efforts and, concentration and extra people.
I mean,
How do you know that?
Yeah.
How do you know what?
How do you know that? Because it's going to be a lot more higher quality and quantitative, and it's going to be far superior than competition, that you will beat the competition when it comes to revenue.
Well, I mean, that's what I say. We do pilots. We talk to people, we do customer research, obviously. But when I say that, because our market is like small customers, it's B2B, but they're small, so revenue is like 30, 50 euro per month. It's not something that it's valuable per se.
So is it a paid pilot that you're doing?
No. 30, 50 euro per month is the average per month that we can get from them.
Okay, so I would say that before we had the finished product, which it's never finished, and even now it's
Obviously,
not finished,
yes.
and there's so much else that we can do, is that when we were going out to the market, and then I was talking to prospects, and I said, okay, well, if I had X, Y, Z, would you be signed up? And they'd say yes. But there's no money on the table then, right? So you're just asking for advice. So everyone will say yes to you, and then when you do create it and you go out, you'd be surprised how many people just don't even entertain the conversation, or they just ghost you, because then it's changed. The conversation changes because they feel like it's all around the money and you're trying to sell to them. So I would strongly urge exactly what Vinay said. You need to just get your few customers through, and there's so many solutions out there. So when I say product, I also mean solutions. So you have these like legal tech or like recruitment tech, but there's still people in the background, and I'm very familiar with successful companies that have a product, and actually they have a solution. They just don't give visibility of the fact that there's a lot of manual work in the background. And so if you can do that manual work in the background, you should do it if it means that you're bringing revenue in, and then you can reiterate, and then you have like tangible feedback from customers that you want to have coming back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Just a note, we only have maybe for a short comment. I see a hand there. Can we get the microphone there as well? Because we should finish in 2 minutes.
Yeah, working? Hello? It's working? Okay.
Yep.
I was able to come to North Star AI a couple of months ago, which was really great. So thanks a lot for putting that on. And they talked a lot at the event about data science and how data science is kind of making its way into business. My question is, for companies that are small, 10 people, 50 people, 100 people, where is the data science framework today? Is it relevant for functions within startups? Or is it only relevant for 5,000 person companies that can do the analysis of the big data? What's your opinion on functions and product leverage of data science for startups?
Can you answer that?
Yeah. First, I'm one of the organizers of North Star AI, so thank you. And I am indeed head of data science. I mean, for me, the question is a bit complex or a bit strange in a sense that I don't understand how it is possible to think at all without thinking about data and data science. So even if there are 2 people, you should be looking at the data and doing your analysis and understanding of the world based on some rational facts about the world. It cannot be that you haven't seen any data in your world. And some companies go as far as, for example, I had a mentor from Lyft, a car company, anyway, they have a policy that absolutely every employee must know SQL, the database language for querying a database. Absolutely everyone, even if you are doing events.
Isn't that
or
a little
doing
bit
sales or
extreme?
marketing.
Or driving?
You could say, but everyone knows how to use Excel. You're sending an Excel file to some random person and you don't ask, oh, have you seen Excel? Or have you seen a spreadsheet? You assume that they know it. That if you say someone that, oh, that's kind of, this is 23%, you don't ask, oh, do you know what this percentage means? Like data is as common in companies nowadays that kind of, it is not too uncommon. So the sooner you are with data, the better it is. You should be there with first day, even with 2 employees, formalizing it into maybe 10, 20 employees, depending on a business, and having a team when you have 50. So from the startup, it cannot be without data.
I totally agree. The thing is that we cannot continue. The thing is that our time is fucking up, you see. But it's like completely 0, 0, 0, 0 there for 2 minutes already. We have the next session starting in 2 minutes. I would say that if somebody wants to talk to this lovely bunch of people, just grab them by their hand. They have a lot of experience. But right now, I have to ask you guys, give yourself a big applause because you were very interactive audience. Thank you for that. And give our session participants a big applause as well. Thank you so much.